So for today's topic, we will cover the importance of integrated maintenance, and we will explore the two solutions, Acumatica and LLumin. Our presenters today are Luis Palmer, Director of Services at Karen Business Solutions, and Doug Sweeney, VP Senior Software Architect at LLumin. Thanks everybody for listening. Now Luis will continue with the introductions and agenda.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Luis Palmer, Director of Services of Karen Business Solutions. So let's start with the agenda. Thanks, Susana, for the introductions. I'm going to do a brief presentation of Karen. We're going to do the same for LLumin. And then we're going to go directly to the meat, the demo. I'm going to show you some of our Acumatica mining functionality developed by Karen, and also the seamless integration with LLumin. Finally, we will have some time for Q&A. So let's start. In Karen, this year, we celebrate our 25 years in business. A lot has changed for supporting local businesses in almost any industry to now serving mining-related businesses all over the world. We now work in North and South America, and we have a lot of activity in Africa. Another change has been moved to cloud computing. For several years, we've seen ERP vendors struggle with transition to cloud software solutions. We decided to support Acumatica as our cloud solution because of its great functionality, the fact that it's the only Tier 2 ERP developed after the year 2000, so in reality, we're not dealing with old technology. And also the fact that new features are added every year, and the product is constantly improving. And most importantly, we believe that implementing Acumatica together with our services, we can truly deliver the Tier 1 functionality that our client needs at the less than 50% of the cost. I want to show you a testimonial.
We have been working with Karen for the past 4 years. Our recent experience with the implementation of Acumatica has truly exceeded our expectations. Their daily support and specialized mining knowledge have been crucial to our business growth.
In mining, we provide ERP solutions to mining companies and to industry closely connect to mining companies as well, like distributors, manufacturers, and constructions. We will also talk about the key integration points between maintenance solutions and Acumatica ERP, which is a common requirement in our mining clients, the maintenance of mining equipment. As a part of the presentation today, Doug Sweeney from LLumin will provide an overview of LLumin, an advanced maintenance solution that integrates with Acumatica. Doug, please help us to present LLumin.
Okay, sure, thanks. So let me talk a little bit about LLumin. So LLumin CMMS Plus is asset management, maintenance management software. And we currently are managing well over 1 million assets worldwide on different continents among, obviously a large number of customers. We have over 40,000 users. Our customer retention rate is actually over 95%, and we're fast growing. We have a 45% growth rate. Our passion here at LLumin is really, minimizing your equipment downtime, helping you make sure that your equipment goes down as infrequently as possible. We manage and protect all of your critical assets, any equipment, vehicles, etc. And really our special niche that allows us to do that is our ability to integrate with the machines themselves, with the equipment, with vehicles, through different control systems, telematics systems. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but by monitoring those real-time machine and equipment conditions, that really allows us to manage machine health better than, really any other company. There aren't really any other CMMS companies that are actually tying in to the equipment, monitoring those real-time asset conditions, and then combining that information with operational data as well to really allow you to be more proactive and even predictive in your maintenance strategy, which really does, help eliminate downtime and shorten those maintenance cycles.
ERPs has undergone a significant evolution. Initially serving as basic accounting system for recording financial transactions, Now ERP represents a fully integrated solution tailored to streamline operations and to enhance decision-making processes. Moreover, contemporary ERP seamlessly integrate with third-party solutions like LLumin, amplifying their capabilities and enhancing operational efficiency. This integration empowers organizations to leverage specialized tools and services, further optimizes their workflows and driving growth. Now, let me demonstrate some of these features directly in the tool, using a fictitious Caron mining company. This Caron mining company was created with test data and settings based on our experience in the mining sector. I just log in as an admin user, and this will take me directly to the landing page. In this case, it will be the AP Clark dashboard. I can also define the business date, and the system is smart enough to automatically update all the data in the dashboard with this new information if I require. You can also define which company or branch do you want to use at this moment. This multi-company, multi-branch, and also multi-currency approach is really important for mining and mining-related companies. Now, going in detail in the AP Clear dashboard, as you can see, the system displays different KPIs with different colors. Also charts with important information for the users. These KPIs are not only informational or graphical description of something happening. They also provide the filter that we can use to drill down on the data that can help us to make decisions. Let's use, for example, the PO receipts to bill. When you click in that box, you will open a new tab with the transactional information that was fed in that metric. And from here, you can see in detail what actions you can take. We call this drill down and drill around. I can also create, edit, or delete any of these KPIs. Let's edit the open bills to pay KPIs. For example, now it's defined that more than 10 bills will flag this KPI as red, which means a serious alert. If we change it to 100, this change will be processed in real time, and the system will update the color to yellow to indicate a warning message, considering this new alert level. I didn't need to write any special code to modify something. A lot of things that you can see here, you can just design and modify and even add new widgets without having to hire a developer or without having to modify really the code of the environment. So now that I showed you a little bit of how dashboard works in Acumatica, let's go a little bit deeper and add a mining knowledge layer on top of this accounting standard. So one of the biggest challenges we found in the mining sector is definitely reporting. Although the accounting staff might focus on financial statements, which by the way, Acumatica already have more of them, usually CFO and other top management want to see a drill down to different types of data, but not just financial data. They want to see mining production information and maybe budgets in the same report. So this is a technical challenge, especially for ERPs with systems with a core financial footprint, right? So we are able to solve this challenge using the Ledger tool. In Acumatica, you can have 4 types of ledgers. Financial, which is called actual, budget, reporting, and statistical. When we want to report on non-financial data like productions or hours or days, the statistical ledger is very powerful. You can simply enter the information to the ledger and don't have to worry about balancing like you would in a financial ledger or actual one, right? You can also apply budgets to the numbers that you enter in this statistical ledger. Now, let me show you a custom mining report called Monthly Statistic. In this report, you can visualize different types of data belonging to different ledgers, all of them coexisting in the same report. This is the kind of report that mining companies executives like to have. In the left part, you have the month-to-date information, in this case for the month of April. In the right part, we have the year-to-date values. We have also added the cost calculation over the non-financial data. What is nice about this is that the system not only displays the information, you can also use these links to drill down on it. This type of report is good and valuable for our CFOs, but it lacks the call to action and real-time components. To complement that, we create two dashboards that are specific to the role of an employee. A nice feature of Acumatica is that we can filter the dashboard information based on roles, company, or branches. Let's imagine we are a mill manager and we're just logging into the system. This manager will have a clear visibility in real time of his mill operations. We will see the tons milled by day, also the trend on a monthly basis, as well to define these KPIs with different types of alarm levels or colors. As you can see, we can also mix and match different types of data, and even online sources like this leaf gold price on the same page of the dashboard. This is real time, guys. Now, to be able to produce those mill and mine tons of metals, you will need machinery with high level availability. And these require a proper maintenance plans, sparse parts, and tight control. This is where a specialized maintenance software like LLumin will integrate with your Acumatica ERP, impacting different areas like inventory. For mining, inventory consists of spare parts, camp supplies, and other types of supplies. Usually finished goods inventory is only tracked in certain cases and does need to be integrated with maintenance purchase order and receipts. These are generated when parts are required for maintenance work orders. So the POs and receipts must be sent to the ERP so they can be matched against vendor voices. The other aspect is vendors. The ERP must own the vendor files and information. For a good integration, the maintenance system must be able to receive vendor information from the ERP. So in this last point, let me show you a new vendor that I just set up for this demo. So let's go to vendors. And for example, let's see, I just set up for this one, the AC graphic. Okay, so this is a new supplier of equipment for maintenance supplies. Okay, so now we are going to transfer this information to LLumin, and I will let Doug receive that vendor information and give you an overview of their system.
Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at that vendor. So any new vendors that are created in Acumatica will flow over automatically to LLumin so that the folks within LLumin can place purchase orders against them. So we have in here all the vendors from the Acumatica system. Here is the one that Luis was looking at, Ace Graphics, and that is flowed into LLumin from Acumatica. So let's take a look at LLumin CMMS Plus. I'm going to start with the homepage dashboards. The homepage dashboards within LLumin are very flexible, very configurable, and really designed to provide you with the key information that you need to do your job on a daily basis. And they can be easily shaped by each user within the system. We have dozens of these different KPIs, metrics, and more charts and more detailed grids of information for you to choose from. So really, what each person's homepage looks like is entirely up to them. I'll just show you a couple quick examples of how different types of users would typically set up their homepage. So right now I am logged in as a maintenance supervisor. So as such, I've added a number of key metrics that I need to keep an eye on as part of doing my job on a day-to-day basis. That includes being able to see, most importantly, any equipment that is currently down in real time. And I can group that different ways by site or type of asset, so I can see where my issues currently are. Now, I've done the same with my currently open work orders. In this case, I've grouped them by type. So I can see how many pairs are being worked on right now versus PMs versus inspections. So it gives me real-time visibility into my maintenance operation. Now, you can also set up rules to highlight any of these KPIs that exceed predefined thresholds that you've established. So as a maintenance supervisor, I do want to make sure that I don't have too many overdue work orders in my area of responsibility. So I set up a rule that says if this number of overdue work orders here is ever higher than 2, turn that red. And that really helps further draw my attention to where it's most needed. Now you can also add these more detailed grids of information to your homepage as well. So I've added a couple, including work requests that have come in from my equipment operators, and I can sign those out right from here. And I can also see new work orders that have come into the system that need to be assigned out. Those could have come from those operator requests. They could also come from routine PMs and inspections that you can set up in Lumin that will automatically trigger as they're coming due. And finally, they could even be created automatically by real-time equipment conditions, as we'll talk about in just a few minutes. And same with these, I can view them, assign them out, complete them all right from my homepage. Just by way of one other real quick example, I'm going to just show a maintenance technician. And this particular maintenance technician did not want a lot of charts or KPIs. They were really focused on one thing. What is the work that I need to be doing today? So they set their homepage up with just one grid, a list of work orders assigned to them. And they can see everything they need to see about these work orders and take any actions that they need to take on them, all right from their homepage. So it makes for a very efficient, very easy to use experience for the maintenance technicians. They don't have to spend a lot of time navigating around in the software. They can do everything they need to do right from their homepage. And we are increasingly seeing the maintenance technicians using our software on their mobile devices. So I will show you in a little bit how a maintenance technician would typically do their job on a day-to-day basis, all right from their mobile device. But before we get to that, I do want to go over how you can set up and organize your assets in Lumin and monitor their status in real time. So typically you'll organize your assets into some sort of hierarchy. Now, if you have multiple sites, multiple mines, multiple locations, multiple plants, you can have each one of those typically as a top level within your hierarchy. And then within each one of those sites, you can have different, departments or categories of equipment. We might have our fixed equipment, things like conveyors, forklifts, pumps, and we might also have our fleet vehicles, and we can break that down into categories such as, construction equipment and trucks. And it is a very flexible hierarchy. There is no limitation to how many levels deep or shallow you can set this up. So you can really set this up to best match your current organizational structure. And you can also restrict the visibility of any of your users to any level within this hierarchy. So if you have, for example, maintenance technicians that only work at this one particular site, you can restrict their visibility so that they can only see the assets, the work orders, and the information for that site. In addition to adding another level of security to the system, that also makes it easier to use because now people don't have to spend time filtering through assets, work orders, and other information that isn't relevant to them. They're only going to see what makes sense for them to be seeing. Now, within here, you will get real-time visual indicators of any assets that are either currently down or have open work orders on them, like this truck here has an open work order on it. But there are other ways that you can also see the real-time status of your equipment. One of those is from within our map view. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up my map view. And what that shows me is all of my assets, all of my vehicles in this case, where they're currently located on the map with most importantly, the real-time status of each of these vehicles being shown to me by the color of it on this map view. So all of my vehicles that are in green, these are all up and running, no issues, we're happy. Any that are in yellow have open repair work orders against them. And then finally, any that are in red are currently down. So it's a really good way to be able to see the overall status of all your equipment at a particular location or in a particular area, see where it's physically located. We get that GPS information from your telematics system, and we'll get more into that in just a moment. And, really be able to see very visually, very intuitively where your issues are. If I want to see, for example, only my equipment that is down or currently in need of maintenance, I can easily filter on that and just show me my vehicles that have open work on them or are in need of some kind of maintenance. Now, if I want more information about any vehicle, I can click on it in either the tree view or the map view to bring up the information for that vehicle. That'll take us to the asset master screen for that vehicle, where you can see all the information for this asset. And we do track a lot of information for your assets grouped into these different cards. But this is another very shapeable screen within Lumin, in this case, based upon the type of asset. So you can create different asset types in Lumin, really as many different asset types as you want. And for each of those types of assets that you create, you can turn on or off or show or hide any of these cards of information based upon whether or not they're relevant, as well as add any number of additional fields that are specific to that asset type. So for example, you might have an asset type for conveyors versus an asset type for loaders or vehicles. And, for each of those types, you'd add fields that are relevant to that type. So if, you might add the fuel type for your vehicle type assets, engine size, license plate, any information like that. So another example of a very configurable, shapeable screen. I won't go through all of this information. I just want to highlight some of the key things that you can track about your assets within Lumin CMMS Plus. That includes all basic manufacturer and OEM information, such as manufacturer, model number, VIN number, any warranty information. You can also upload any number of pictures, schematics, diagrams, documentation, such as, the entire O&M manual is always a popular choice. And all of this information that you upload, all of these manuals, documents, and pictures, they're all available to the maintenance technicians when they're working on that equipment. And that does include on their mobile devices. The system is going to track all of your downtime for you. Anytime a piece of equipment goes down, you'll see when it went down, when it came back up, and the total downtime and cost associated with that event. The system, of course, tracks all of your maintenance history. This is going to include those routine PMs and inspections, as well as any unplanned repair work orders. On those unplanned repair work orders, you can see the repair comments that were entered by the technician as they were completing that work order. So it does make for a nice knowledge base for your equipment. If a technician's working on a piece of equipment, trying to troubleshoot an issue, they can see the full history of that equipment. And if that issue has occurred in the past, and if so, what the technician did back then, that ultimately resolved it. Parts, of course, is going to be a key part of your maintenance story. Lumin manages all of your spare parts inventory for you. You can manage that right within Lumin CMMS Plus. You can set up for each asset that bill of materials or list of replacement part numbers for that asset, as well as being able to see the full part replacement history for that asset. So anytime a part is replaced in a piece of equipment, you're going to see what part was replaced, when it was replaced, who did the work, and the cost of that part. Speaking of costs, Lumin will track your total cost of ownership. We show that to you a couple different ways. We break it out by your in-house labor versus versus those parts costs we were looking at, versus any outside services. So if you have to bring in an outside contractor or OEM rep to work on it, you can see those costs broken out separately as well. And we do also break it out by planned versus unplanned work, which is an important distinction. Planned work is going to be the total cost of those routine PMs and inspections, which is really your expected costs of owning and operating that asset, whereas your unplanned work costs are going to be the total cost of any unplanned repair work orders. And that's a really good number to keep an eye on. Finally, I do want to circle back to something we were talking about earlier, which is our ability to tie into different control systems, telematics systems for your vehicles to get real-time information for your equipment. So on this particular loader here, we're tied into it through the telematics system, and we're getting real-time information. As you already saw, we're getting the real-time GPS coordinates of it, so you can see where it's located in our map view. But we're also getting other information. In this case, we're getting runtime hours, the odometer from there, any engine fault codes. We can also be capturing things like system hydraulic pressure. And once Lumin is capturing this information for your equipment in real time, there's a couple of things that can be done with that. First, any PMs that you have that are based upon utilization, such as runtime hours or mileage or kilometers, can automatically or will automatically trigger based upon the value of this information coming from the telematics system. So if you have, for example, a servicing that needs to be done every 2,000 operational hours, that's going to trigger every time this value coming from the telematics system crosses a 2,000-hour threshold. But in addition to just triggering those routine PMs automatically, you can also set up more proactive and even predictive condition-based rules to monitor for conditions where the equipment is starting to operate out of spec or starting to experience a problem, and have the system automatically alert you and automatically take additional actions so you can proactively deal with those problems before they become a bigger issue or even downtime event. Show you a real quick example here. So we've just set up a rule to basically say that anytime we get an engine fault code off of this equipment, that's an indication, of course, that something is starting to go wrong, and we want to deal with it proactively before we experience a downtime event. So we've just set up a rule that says anytime that we do get a engine fault code through the telematics system, we want to be alerted to that. So we've told the system to send out some notifications. Specifically in this case, we've told it to automatically email a group of technicians at that site. And you can set up escalations on any of our notifications. So we've also set up an escalation that says if none of those technicians respond to this within 2 hours, to go ahead and automatically escalate it, now send an SMS text message to a group of maintenance supervisors because things are starting to get a little more urgent now. And then finally, in addition to just having the system let you know there's a problem, you can also have it automatically take additional actions, such as in this case, we've told it to automatically create a repair work order for that piece of equipment. And if you know what the likely remedy is based upon the symptoms, you can actually have a specific step-by-step procedure attached to that work order to resolve the issue, as well as the parts that are needed to resolve that issue. And you can even have the system automatically create a requisition for those parts. So this really helps to shorten your repair cycle or shorten your average repair times because these work orders are getting created automatically and people are being alerted to those issues automatically and immediately. And it also is going to reduce your overall asset downtime because you're being alerted to conditions before they become downtime events and are able to address those before you experience asset downtime. Okay, next I want to show you how you can plan out your maintenance, assign and schedule your work orders, and then finally we'll shift over to how the technicians can go ahead and complete those work orders. So for the maintenance supervisors and planners out there, they will typically do all of that right within our calendar view. Our calendar view shows you all of the work that you have both currently open as well as upcoming for a given day, week, or month. So you can easily see what equipment is scheduled to be worked on, what is going to be done to that, who's doing the work, all right within this calendar view. And it's not just a display view, it is interactive. So if you need to assign a work order, we have this unassigned work order here. I can just go ahead and click on it, and I can assign it right from here to any in-house technician or outside contractor. Or if I need to reschedule a work order. So if we're not going to be able to get this done this week, I can just click and drag it out to next week to reschedule it for next week. I can easily see within here how many hours I've assigned to each of my technicians. So I can make sure that I've assigned an appropriate amount of work to each technician for each day. So it's really a great tool for managing your workload, for assigning and scheduling your work, and really planning out your maintenance week, month, etc. Now, after the work orders have been assigned, next step, of course, is going to be for those maintenance technicians to go ahead and complete that work. As I was mentioning earlier, we are increasingly seeing them doing this on their mobile devices. It can be any mobile device, so any phone or tablet, Apple or Android. If you do have, cellular connectivity or even Wi-Fi where you're working, then you can just open up the system in any browser on your device. If you don't have connectivity, which of course will be often the case in these rural locations, we do also have a offline mode mobile app that you could download from both the Apple app and Google Play Store. And that's going to offer the technicians all of that functionality that they need in terms of seeing their work, completing their work, getting the information, those manuals and documents for the assets, filling out inspection forms, doing all of that offline. And then when they do get back to an area with connectivity, all of that is going to automatically upload to the system. So let's go ahead and complete some work orders. If you have any work orders that you just need to quickly mark as closed, like a quick inspection or something like that, you can very easily do that with just one tap or click. So for example, here, we just need to perform a quick inspection of this vehicle, and we're not going to collect any labor time on that or anything. I can just go ahead and say that I did that just by tapping on it and tapping complete, and that's going to mark that work order as complete. Now, if for work orders where, repair work orders where you may want to track labor time and repair comments, you can do that as well. You can use our labor timers to track labor time. Labor timers are great for a couple reasons. First, it's another way of making things more efficient for the technicians. They don't have to manually keep track of how much time they spend on each work order. When they're starting a work order, they're just going to go ahead and tap on it and start a timer. And now the system is tracking their labor time for them, so they don't have to. It also gives you more accurate labor time, which translates to more accurate maintenance costs. Now, for those work orders that have a predefined set of tasks or steps or procedures that the technician needs to follow, this will be typically true of your routine PMs and inspections. You can set up your own very detailed step-by-step procedures to walk the technicians through performing those tasks. So here, for example, we're being asked to perform an inspection on this piece of equipment. So to complete that, I'm just going to tap on it and tap complete. And as you can see, the maintenance supervisor set up a nice step-by-step procedure to walk us through performing this inspection. They included pictures on certain steps as another way of making things easier and more efficient for us to do these. So on this first step, we're being asked to inspect some seals, and they included a picture of where the seals are, and we can check the box to say we did that. We are also being prompted to say what the overall condition of the equipment is, so we can choose that from a drop-down list. And you can also have them take any other readings or measurements. So any vehicles that are not tied into telematics systems, you can still capture readings like coolant temperature or system hydraulic pressure or anything else you want them to check, and just go ahead, have them read the gauges and enter those values. So another good way to capture that information. The same is true for runtime hours or odometer readings. They can just go ahead, read the meter and enter that. And that's going to also trigger any routine runtime hour based servicing. Finally, you can even set up rules to automatically create follow-up repair work orders based upon their answers to any of these questions. So here we're being asked if we noticed any leaks in the hydraulic system, and in this case we did. So we'll say yes to that. After we've answered all our questions and done all our work, we can just go ahead and tap next to complete this work order. As you can see, the system is telling us that it has automatically created a follow-up repair work order, and this is good for a couple of reasons. First, it is a separate work order, so we can still complete and close out this PM or inspection because that work is done. And there's now a separate work order in the system for this asset of a repair work order that could be assigned to a more senior level technician or outside contractor. And then the other nice thing about this is it's another way of making things more efficient for the technicians. In this case, they don't have to spend time creating a work order because they saw a problem. The system did that for them automatically. And you're going to be assured that follow-up repair work orders are not getting missed because they are being created automatically. Want to show just one final example of completing a work order while we're still on our mobile device here. And that's going to be for a repair work order. We saw how we were having the technicians log their repair comments to add to that history of the equipment, provide that knowledge base. So we're going to complete that repair work order that we started a timer on earlier. I can do that just by tapping the timer. And that takes me right to the completion screen for that work order. The system has, of course, captured our labor time for us, so we don't need to worry about that. We do want to record our repair comments, but since we're on our mobile device, we can even use speech to text to do that. Replaced drive belt and changed filter. So just another example of making things more efficient for the technicians. And then finally, because we are on our mobile device, we can further document our work by taking one or more pictures of the work that we did and attaching that to the work order. Or if we saw an issue with the equipment that we wanted to document, get another set of eyes on, we can take pictures of that. Any pictures that we take are available to maintenance supervisors who are approving our work, as well as any technicians working on this equipment in the future, because it becomes a permanent part of that machine's history. So it is a great way to document your work. Okay, finally, I want to just quickly wrap up by showing how briefly how Lumin can manage your maintenance inventory for you, your spare parts inventory and maintenance supplies, and how all of that integrates with Acumatica. So Lumin tracks all of your information for all of your maintenance supplies and inventory. So your consumable spare parts, belts, filters, seals, bearings, things that you're routinely replacing, as well as any maintenance related supplies, safety gloves and glasses, oil and grease, paper towels. We do track a lot of information for your items, including the ability to see how much you have on hand across all of your sites or all of your locations. So if you have a machine down or a vehicle down and you need a part for it, you don't have it at your site, you can easily see if any of your other sites have one of those on hand in real time. And of course, it's going to be cheaper and more importantly, faster to get that from another one of your sites than to order a new one from a vendor. The system will print barcode labels for you, track warranty, you can attach pictures and documents, you can see where each of these parts are used. And then finally, you can set up minimum and reorder quantities for each stocking level that you want to always have on hand. The system will automatically put it out to your reorder list so you can easily see everything that you need to order and build those to POs. When building a PO, those, like I mentioned, will automatically flow over to Acumatica. So I'm just going to wrap up by quickly doing that. I'm just going to create a purchase order. We're going to use that same vendor that Luis was showing earlier that came into Lumin. And we're just going to go ahead and specify, what GL account we want that to be charged to, when, we expect to receive it. And we're just going to go ahead and say, what is it that we want to order? Price pulls in for us, or we can specify that, change it. We're going to go ahead and create that PO. When we finalize it, it can be automatically routed for approval based upon things like the total dollar amount of the PO and the job level of the person placing it. And then we're going to go ahead and release that PO. When we release that PO, it automatically prints, it automatically sends to the vendor. And then finally, of course, it's also going to automatically flow over to Acumatica. So we'll just give that a second. And then we'll go over to Acumatica to take a look at that. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly jump to Acumatica here. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead, refresh this screen. Okay, so there's the PO that we just created. It just came in. And I can see that, came in with what we ordered, the quantity, the price. I'm going to go ahead and say we don't need to print or email this. And then we can go ahead and receive that PO in Lumin. So we're just going to go to our receiving. We'll see that PO, there it is, with that Acumatica PO number that came back to us. And we want to go ahead and receive that in Lumin. Just specify how many we're receiving, where we're receiving it into, and finish receiving that. That receipt that we just did is also going to automatically flow over to Acumatica. You can do multiple partial receipts on POs, of course, as well. And each receipt you do is going to flow over as a separate individual receipt to Acumatica. So just give it a second. Okay, so now let's go back to Acumatica one final time. And we're just going to refresh this view again. Okay, we see that PO has been completed. And then if we take a look at it, you can see the receipts on it, as well as the vendor bill has been automatically created. That's an option within the interface or the integration with Lumin. Okay. So that's kind of the end-to-end process of things flowing from Lumin over to Acumatica. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Luis.
So we feel like maintenance solution like Lumin, together with the capabilities of Acumatica. And one extra thing to consider when Doug was showing the screen, also all the approval if you need and all the security that you can have it on Lumin, you can have it as well on Acumatica. Even if you have, for example, permission settings on Acumatica, you will have it over the same document that travels to the system as well. So that's very important, right? And so together, this tool, together with the capabilities of Acumatica and our experience with the mining sector and mining-related companies as well, I think all come together to provide a comprehensive solutions for companies. So I hope you really like what we showed today, right? So Susanna, do we have any questions?
So first question we have is how Acumatica handled the integration with Lumin.
From Acumatica is that both systems integrate using real-time sync technology. A Doc, just showed, right? We were able to show like nothing behind, just wait a couple of seconds and information travel. So the idea of having this real-time sync technology, will allow us to keep the data integrity and accuracy between both database. That is so important right now, right? So also on top of that, you can configure some settings. So like an automatic AP bill creation. For example, when Doc create the purchase receipt, the system automatically create the AP bill. But also you can define if you don't want, the system will not do it and will allow you to do it manually as well, right? So those are the kind of features that we will work with you and trying to do it as a part of the implementation process. I don't know, Doug, if you want to complement something on that.
Yeah, I'd just like to, kind of follow up on that. Yes, we do it in real time through the API, and the fact that we do it through Acumatica's API kind of, emphasizes a point that is pretty important that Luis was just making, which is that it's going through all of the validation rules and everything on the Acumatica side. So it's still being fully processed by Acumatica because it is going through their API. In terms of, the direction of flow, Acumatica will continue to, be the primary source, or the master source, I should say, of your vendor information. So users will continue, the accountants will continue to do the vendor creation and approval process within Acumatica, but then folks within Lumin can do their POs against those vendors right within Lumin. But those POs and receipts are sent to Acumatica. And really, the takeaway, the main reason for doing this is to eliminate the need for duplicate data entry, right? A day or two after you've received a PO in Lumin, an invoice is going to come in from the supplier. It's probably going to go to your AP department or accounting department. They're going to go into Acumatica with that invoice, and they're going to already see in Acumatica the fully received PO, the AP bill. So they can do their three-way invoice matchup right in Acumatica without having to rekey in anything. So again, it makes things more efficient for people, and it also reduces, the possibility of any, keying in errors.
Next question is, how can I import data from other systems like SCADA systems in Acumatica?
In Acumatica, we have different ways to import data into the system, right? You can use using the API that just Doug talked about it, right? You can also manually import the data using flat file like CSV and any point of the day. You can also create import scenarios, right? That you can run in batch, and you can define the some triggers based on time, based on something happening. You can run these import scenarios, and you can also use web services to import and export data from Acumatica in real time. So in reality, Acumatica can adapt to your different systems and import necessities.
One more question I see here is, if we don't have a telematic system, will this system still work for us?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you can absolutely use Lumin to manage your, fleet vehicles or your vehicle equipment. Even if you don't have a telematic system, you can still set up those routine PMs to trigger both based on date and actual equipment utilization, such as runtime hours or odometer reading. As you saw, you can have part of routine inspections done by the maintenance folks, or even part of daily pre-trip or pre-shift checklists by the equipment operators. They can enter that information, so they get part of their, daily startup process as they're, starting their shift. They can go through a pre-trip or pre-shift checklist and enter the current vehicle runtime hours and enter the current vehicle odometer reading. And that will also trigger any routine PMs, any routine inspections that need to be done off of that. So really the tie into the telematics system is just another way to get information into Lumin, but you absolutely don't have to have a telematics system in place to use it. You can certainly still get the full functionality of Lumin even without it.
How about changes to POs? Will it generate a new PO or a change order?
So today, you can generate a new PO and have that, come across automatically. And then on the roadmap is for sending changes on the existing PO as well across.
Just one more that came in. How about looming change orders? How are they handled?
So if you mean changes to POs, that would, really be kind of that same process where it could either, go across today as a separate PO, or on our roadmap is sending changes to existing open released POs.
So our last question, how do we get our data into your system, Lumin?
Sure. Yeah, so there's a number of ways you can do it. Just as Luis was talking about on the Acumatica side, we have many of those similar options. Typically, when a customer is going live on Lumin, we'll be bringing in all of their data from spreadsheets. They may be spreadsheets that they already have, listing out all their equipment, all of their inventory items, and we can import that. If you don't have existing spreadsheets in place, we do have some nice spreadsheet import templates that you can fill out, which are just Excel spreadsheets, but they have nice validation data in there. But just like Acumatica has its own API, we also have our own API. So you can also push to the Lumin API as well to create assets, create inventory items from other systems. So there's a number of options. And then finally, a question earlier was talking about SCADA systems, and we also tie into SCADA systems really all the time. for any, fixed equipment, machines and plants, things like that. We tie into SCADA systems through our machine interface service using, OPC UA, OPC DA, MQTT for IoT sensors. We can tie to PLC controllers. So we also have that ability to tie into SCADA and capture real-time machine condition data that way as well.
Just one more. Are the cost reports available in LLumin?
Yeah, so LLumin has we have a number of reports, of course, in general. We ship with our own reporting module. It's very easy to use reporting module that allows you to run any of our standard reports and also customize them. And you can even schedule them to run and have them sent to you automatically every week or every month as part of your month-end closing. And included in all those reports are a number of costing reports. You can see your total maintenance costs. You can see your total cost of ownership by assets, and you can run that for any different period. You can see it broken down by different categories, such as planned work costs versus unplanned work costs or repair costs, broken down by parts versus in-house labor versus in-house contractors. And you can run it for any day range. So yeah, you can run also all of your inventory reports you can run out of LLumin in terms of your on-hand inventory valuation, purchasing reports, usage reports, so you can see your total parts usage dollar-wise by asset or by GL account, all right from within LLumin.
Great. Thank you so much. We do not have any more questions at the moment. Thank you for your presentation, Doug, and thanks for your time, Luis.
Thank you, everyone. I will leave you with our contact information. So here's how you can contact us. The information is on the right now displayed. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Have a great day.